one of the big things. And then the second thing was with the business now and what we've been doing and how like we kind of like were thrown in this pool of uncertainty because like you can't really plan for a trip for the next 12 months at least, you know. So like it just started thinking like, okay, like how are other guys, what are other people going through, and just trying to have those conversations to say like, yo, like, how are you seeing this and what's up, like, you know, because like there's a lot of like uncertainty. So my thing was like, how do we get kind of like different conversations with different people going on? And I'm just trying to have this conversation just to connect with other people and say like, okay, cool. Yeah.
From my side, so I do group trips for women, and we go to Mauritius and we go to Zanzibar. And like you said, because of the uncertainty, I can't advertise that at this point because I don't know if even if I do manage to get people to join the trips, I don't know what's going to happen later on. So from my side, I kind of figured that it's actually safer for me to cancel and not take on any risk, and then literally just take it day by day, but then use the time, because of the fact that people are on their phones and online so much more now because they're on lockdown and at home, use the time to just be on social media and talk about what I do, talk about, share the information that I have about travel and about South Africa, so people get to know my brand more and become familiar with it, such that when the time comes, they remember me and hopefully choose to travel with me and trust me because of what I've shared during this time. And I'm also just trying to not be negative. I think that's the other thing. So I'm trying to, in what I share, to not ignore it, but to just think of things like just speak and say, when it's over, this is what we're going to do. Or when we overcome this, these are the places you can go to. Instead of being like, oh, woe is me, everything's cancelled, you know, and try to focus on the future that I'm hoping for, even though I'm not sure what the future looks like. Yeah.
No, like I totally get that, because the one thing you've got like these big plans, because also this thing just happened now. It's like it's happening now, it's not happening tomorrow. And with what you've said, like how has like from the cancellations, right? So the cancellations, the trips that you had, how has those cancellations happened? Did you have a cancellation policy? Did people read the cancellation policy when they were booking the trip with you? And how has those cancellations and refunds, if you've given refunds, gone through?
So I didn't have something in my policy that stated that if something unforeseen happens like this, you know, that we literally cannot travel and we don't know when we can, what would be the case. So for me, it's been a learning experience, and I'm going to need to now modify my policies to include, you know, unforeseen circumstances. But what I have done is that I decided to refund everybody, and everyone was kind of, they were upset that, you know, we are canceling the trip, but they also understood the circumstance. And I also just gave like a coupon just to retain them as customers for the future. So I've said to them, here you can have a certain percentage off of a future Go Far Travel trip, so that I know that once we are able to travel again, they hopefully are keen on claiming that coupon, and I still keep them as customers in the future.
And do you think like other businesses are doing something similar from some of the conversations that you've been having?
Yeah, I think I heard from Sens and Toby that they also were saying, hey Sens, can she see us? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm super. How's everyone?
Okay.
Good. We're good.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Kinda.
Hi.
Hey.
Everyone who just came on now, I'm just going to try and do a quick recap of what we've been talking about and what the conversation really like has been about and why I thought of doing it. So the idea, just trying to figure out the situation that we're in, and also just trying to get other people to say like, this is what I'm going through and these are the challenges, and how do we come together and come up with a solution to say, way forward, these are the T's and C's that I'm using now, and how do we share those, and that information to say like, we are aware of the situation and how do we talk and look at collaborating better or knowledge sharing better and just building communities around travel and around us. And we've been having that conversation with Pari just to say, who are we? And we're just in the, I think Pari was talking about like some of the challenges that she's been going through around the cancellation policies and the refunds and some of the solutions and methods that she's using currently to navigate through the corona pandemic now. So I'm just gonna ask her to continue, and then I think after she's done with that point, I can open to you guys to introduce yourselves as well and share some of the challenges that you guys are going through and how this pandemic is affecting your business essentially. And we can do it like 2 minutes each.
Okay, so just in summary of what I said before was just that I decided to cancel my trips because I can't advertise them, and also I don't know what's going to happen. So I canceled them and I gave everybody a refund. And Trevor was asking me what was the policy. I didn't have a policy which said if there's some circumstance that happens that's unforeseen that allows all of us to not be able to travel, this is what's going to happen. So it wasn't something that was in the policy, but fortunately everybody was understanding that, you know, we can't do this. So yeah, but I think for me it was a learning point that I now need to modify my policy to include something like this so that if anything happens in the future, I'm more prepared. And I was also just saying that I'm just trying to use this time to be present on social media and make the most of the time that people are spending on their phones, and share more about what I do and the knowledge that I have about travel and the places I've been, so that when the time comes, and the time will come, I really hope that we can travel again, people will recognize GoFari and be keen to join me for a trip. The other thing I said was that I gave my customers who I had to cancel with, I gave them a coupon so that I can hopefully retain them as customers when I have trips out again. And hopefully they'll want to use those coupons for my future trips. Yeah.
I'm just gonna unmute everyone, and then you guys can introduce yourselves and share also, like, I think, like some of your experiences now and some of the feelings that you guys are going through.
Okay, we'll start. So with us, it was the same. Hi, I'm Toby, guys. Hi, Tobega. I'm the lived experience with my sister. Hi, Pearl. Hi, Fari. Hi, Ash.
Hey.
Hi, Trevor. Hey, everybody. So with us, it was exactly the same. I think the first trip we had to actually cancel was Bushfire. They were the first ones on board the cancellations, and so we had to refund everyone. But we had also wanted to postpone stuff, and now we're at a place of we doubt anything's going to happen. It makes no sense for us to be advertising. And so we're at a place where we're possibly having to decide to cancel trips because we've already lost some money, because obviously with group trips, you pay some stuff in advance. So we're at a place of just we're not sure what to do. We didn't really have a policy. The only policy we did have was the policy for, what was it?
Well, I mean, we had a
non-refund, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's unethical to keep people's money when we're not allowed to travel. But another thing I want to add is the tricky thing about all of this is, especially for the trips that were happening in March, April, May, June, is a lot of work went into those trips. And the thing is about travel is it's a time-consuming exercise to do the planning and just for the pre-planning before the trip. It takes work, and so it was just difficult to have to let go of all of that. We had a lady from the US who was traveling with her aunt in March, and so things were cancelled literally 3 weeks before the trip. and we had paid, because we have people on the ground to help us execute the, and we had paid those people. There were costs incurred because we were dealing with Forex. So what we did is, like, we had to also look out for ourselves and protect ourselves, but we were also sympathetic towards her. So we calculated all the costs, loss, like transactional costs and all of that. And we were honest with her and said, we are a small business. We're, barely like making it. So these are the costs we've incurred. And we basically said, this is your cancellation fee. She was super understanding, and she said she would be keen to join on a group trip because she couldn't do this individual trip with her aunt. She would still be keen to join in future. But it's just like to open up a conversation around how to protect yourself and how to protect your clients. Like, we all have to take some L's during this time.
Yeah.
So
it's a bit tough.
I do like the coupon idea.
Yeah, definitely, Fari. But we've also been using to get our names out there, to be known as, travel peoples, I guess. We're all doing the 21 days, 21 destinations. We're getting people ready so when this is over, we can all travel, and we will travel again. And so the most important thing is being top of mind as soon as this is done. But what it's also showing me is the importance of collaboration, and the importance of possibly working together more, especially us who are based in South Africa, who predominantly want the same for one another, and want the same for our company, the same for each other as individuals. So it's just finding a few ways on how we can collaborate to a point where it's both mutually beneficial, but it's also a way of us expanding ourselves as business and as individuals, which is tough, because you can't trust everybody. People are weird. They got weird stuff. I've tried collaborating. It's a tough exercise, but I do feel that with people who are wanting the actual same thing, man, it can work. And I'm hoping and praying on a few more real solidifying collaborations that will possibly come out of this. Pearl.
Cool. And Pearl, do you have something to add?
Please. Am I unmuted? I am. Hi, everyone. I'm Pearl, the one half of Traveling Cheapskates. Thank you for this platform, Trevor. And everybody, hello, and thank you for your input. It's not so different from what everybody else has shared. Our two halves of our market were the month-to-month activities that we do in Joburg, Durban, and Cape Town. Those were not too hard to navigate around the cancellations. We had a few refunds that we had to do around those. But the biggest ones, and in terms of loss, were the internationals. And Pilile deals with these more than I do, but there weren't many because they are later on in the year. But again, we also navigated around this by looking at how we can retain them for later. There is actually 2 of these international ones that we kept on with an undefined dates, because we were able to make arrangements with service providers and have indefinite dates that we can shuffle around. But it was a lot of relationshiping, and a lot of the advantages came with how well we knew people and how long we've been talking to people. And at the same time, everybody's in this same predicament, and they're trying to leverage and trying to get as much as they possibly can. And it was just a miss here and there, a lot of learning. And again, we also needed to refine our cancellation policies. Our cancellation policies as it stands now, before modification, says that you can have 50% back so long as you give us a heads up a month in advance of the date. Like the lived experience, the collaboration time is now, and it is very, very, very weird. And it's also overwhelming when you are trying to navigate so much, because it's not like this has ever happened to any of us before. And also trying to not miss out on opportunities, that's also a bit overwhelming. At least for me, it has been. And also trying to stay in the conversation, it's been just like, oh, am I swimming? And then there are some days where you just think you've got it together, think you can focus on this. But a lot of the time that I've had this week, I've used to look at what has worked, what can we do better, and just reaffirmed the clients that we have.
Right. I think she's frozen.
I think Ash.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
We can.
Okay. Hey guys, so I'm Ashley. I'm actually really excited this is actually working because Zoom doesn't normally work in Dubai. So I tried my luck and it worked, so yay. But two things from me. So I was based in South Africa and I moved recently to Dubai because of work. But the one thing I do still do that is directly in South Africa is Airbnb. So that's the first half of what I do. And obviously that was all canceled. But being Airbnb, they were able to refund the guests. And obviously as hosts, we lost all that revenue. We didn't get affected. So for instance, if you're a super host, which is the case for me, you didn't lose your host status. It didn't affect your cancellations, which is great. So that's the perspective from working with a larger corporation. It really helped cushion the fees from that end. But from a revenue perspective, it's all gone. There's just nothing you can do about that. And then from Tingu itself, it's quite interesting because I'm not in South Africa anymore. I don't really work with people that are there. It was actually the reverse. So people who are in Dubai. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So for people in Dubai wanting to come, so the downside has been obviously everybody's cancelled. And like most people, I didn't have a policy in place where there was a clause to retain anything paid because I just hadn't thought that far and I didn't think anything could go wrong. Haha. So we've actually lost most of the bookings from that end. But what has actually changed now is because of the recession in South Africa, a few people have started coming back and are quite keen to come to South Africa because the rand is doing terribly at the moment. And suddenly it's become cheaper to go to South Africa. So I think post the lockdown, there's going to be quite a lot of activity from that side. But the lesson is to price in dollars because then you protect yourself from the currency fluctuation. So I don't know if other people have experienced that issue in terms of currency, but that for me was the lesson. Price in dollars. And yeah.
I see. So thank you for that. And then I think I'm just gonna start with you and then look at some of the tools you talked about Airbnb quite a bit, just in terms of how you've been working with them and how that relationship has helped you in terms of alleviating those costs that you don't have. Are there any other tools that you're using, specifically maybe looking at payment solutions with the fluctuations of the various currencies and all of that? Are there any tools that you're using or that you've been using, and how has that been?
So for the Airbnb part, I don't have to do anything because the platform is now quite sophisticated in that they manage all the exchange rate fluctuations and stuff. So once someone makes a booking, before they'd canceled all the trips the price was fixed. So if someone had booked a trip and it was the equivalent of 6,000 Rand, they wouldn't charge me the rate on the day the person booked. So my rate would have been locked at the time the booking was made and I'd still get that 6,000 Rand. But when the cancellations came through, because they had a policy globally to cancel all the bookings, there was really nothing I could do about that. So you lost that revenue. So from a currency perspective, there was nothing you could do to hedge yourself because you didn't have the revenue to hedge anyway. But when I try and book my own trips and protect myself from currency fluctuations, like I said, I like to use what I realized with people in the UAE. It's easier to use dollars because the dollar is a safe haven currency, right? There isn't a tool I would suggest you guys use per se. It's a bit different for me because I do work in the financial market. So I have some insight in terms of what the forecasts are for currencies. But I would just say stick to a currency like dollars or pounds or euros that will, for the most part, be doing better than the rand. And that will help you at least manage long-term the price of your trip, because it's not likely going to change if you have one of those major currencies priced in. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, I think it does. But also, I think like with other guys listening, do they have any additions to that or questions? And I've just opened up the thing, and anyone can jump in.
Just to say thanks. That's a good, really awesome point. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first time we kind of realized was also through the advice people that we collaborated with. So the first trip that we did to Rwanda and Zanzibar, Toby and I were just like kind of testing the waters. So the guys from Ghana, I think they're also in the financial space, and they were the ones who advised. We price in dollars. Even when you get to your destination, have your money in dollars and exchange the dollars. So it's good, getting that reaffirmed. And I think there's a lot more we need to know about money and how to price, forex, and currency, and all of that. It's like a very important resource in the work we're all doing, and a skill set we don't all have. I have a question, Ash, about Airbnb, because we had to cancel for our March clients, and the host is saying that she hasn't been paid out by Airbnb.
Okay.
Info on that?
So you had paid for the place, and then did you cancel before they announced for the coronavirus cancellation, or after that?
Not entirely.
Because that's key.
It was definitely around that time.
I don't know. She must tell me after.
It was definitely around the time when they were announced. I think like days after canceling, I got a message from Airbnb, but I had already put in a request for a cancellation with the host, so she had to respond to my request.
Yeah.
And then so when I tried doing it again, I wanted to go direct to Airbnb. Airbnb said, no, it doesn't work like that. First, your host must give you a response.
Yeah.
Say whether they're accepting your cancellation or not. Then we can escalate it further. So I think now, based on the information I have, she might be slowing the process down for I don't know what reason.
So there's two things with the cancellation. There's the global cancellation policy that they put in place for Corona. What I'll do is I'll check my email and send you what that was, so that you've got that as a reference. So basically what they said was, for hosts, it removed your initial cancellation policies are now void. So if you had a strict cancellation that didn't allow someone to cancel, that wasn't in place anymore, and that person could cancel their booking for a full refund without any liability to you as the guest. So I'll check when the date is, because if it was after that date, then you should get your full refund and you can raise a case for that. But if it was before they announced that, then they need to look at it on a case-by-case basis to say, when did you put in the cancellation and why? So if it was around the time when the cases had started increasing globally, you still should be able to get a full refund. So I'll check my emails and send that.
Hi guys.
I can't hear you guys on mute.
Hi guys, thank you for that. We've got about 10 minutes of the conversation left because of their time limits and stuff. So one other question is what do you think governments, or what do you think travel associations that you guys are part of, or business associations that you guys are part of, can do to cushion or put together initiatives that allow you guys to bounce back after the virus, or after the pandemic has been contained? I think, let me put it that way.
I'm not in any organization because I haven't found any of them that's hi, how's it everybody, how's it?
Hi.
Haven't found an organization that I believe works and helps us, especially us being in a very new space, and a space that we kind of curated and made up. I mean, this was non-existent 5-6 years ago. So I haven't found an organization that speaks to what we do. and that tailors for our market. So everything's kind of new and old as well from these organizations. And yeah, so far, none of them have impressed us to say, look, we want to join this organization as is. We've been flying fine and doing well without them. There hasn't been any regulations. So I think in that aspect, yeah, there's a gap for an organization maybe to look at our young businesses and the spaces that we're in now to kind of create it as well. And to be honest, yeah, most of them are like from the old era, and they're still controlled by an old regime-minded people, and who don't really understand the young black mind, you know. So there's an opportunity for that. But for now, I don't see any value in that.
Thank you for that, Garabo, and welcome. And does anyone have any or different opinion to what Garabo was saying?
So I used to be part of SATSA, guys know SATSA, and they again were not very supportive, because essentially once you join those bodies, you pay a fee to be part of it. But if you've got any liability in terms of your guests and stuff, you still need to pay an insurance fee. But when it comes to crises like this, I haven't really seen them coming on board to offer any sort of assistance or rally up the right people to help. So while it's obviously the same sentiment, but I guess with a specific example of how maybe a particular body didn't really help. Because really what people need after this is a boost in terms of getting more bookings. And I'm not really sure how the government can help that. And it doesn't help that the economy is in a recession. So the reality is most people won't have, the means to travel as they would have been prior to the crisis.
Sorry, can I just add? I think, Ash, to add to your point, what we can look for and get ready for is the boom in local travel. I think what's going to happen is that if they open up, they'll open up local and domestic travel first before opening up borders for that. That's where we play. And I think government and these associations and how they can help is say there has to be a use of local domestic travel agents, especially looking at predominantly. That's where then BE can come in and say you have to use black dominated or black affiliated businesses for you guys to move on. And we should get first preference as well, especially young, small startups. They need to push that preference to us. These loans and stuff don't really help because then they're putting us in debt. What we need is that push. It must be a directive that you have to use these small, these things. Then you get discounts and we get support in that manner, Right now, none of these initiatives are helping us.
I'm sorry. Firstly, I'm sorry for joining so incredibly late. Thank you for allowing me to still join, Trevor. I would just like to expand on the point that you've just made, my brother. What does that actually look like? What does us getting support actually look like?
So your provincial departments like GTA. I'm based in Gauteng. GTA is pathetic in my example, especially around what we offer. The people don't understand what we do. The people, so it's using their database and their platform. They're sitting with 120,000 database of businesses, but we never hear anything from them. Only when it comes to exhibitions and them needing at like a last minute, 2 days before Ndaba, that they need to take some entrepreneurs there. Then they give us a call, or you get a phone call that they should be planning right now exactly what we're doing. You'll find that they're not doing and having these discussions.
Okay, hang on. So we get the database from them. What are we doing with the database?
No, not a database from them. I'm saying for them directing businesses like ours. This is their time for where they've been collecting this database to showcase us and put us on that platform and say, okay, guys, these are these distribution plans. These are the platforms that we've been collecting. Right now, they've been collecting, and nothing's happened. For the past 3 years, I've attended Ndaba with the last 2 minutes, on the last 2 days. Last 2 days, you get called to say, okay, you need to be in Ndaba in the last 2 days. And I'm like, but 2 days, guys. Well, what's the point? And then what have you done with that? I haven't received business from them in the past 3 years, I mean, right now, there is no campaign around outdoor camping and outdoor adventure is the new black thing. You know, nothing's happening. But we've been there for the past 5 years. We've been nagging them. We've been sending stuff. So yeah, that's a part that they can play. Some of us don't really need the money. We need the platform.
Okay, thank you about that. And then I think time is running out. So like, I'm just trying to get everyone a chance. So like, in terms of this conversation, then like, what does the future of travel look like to you guys? So like, looking at now, because I think like the future is now. And how does that look like? How do we look at this future thing called travel? Like, what's that?
I don't know, man. For us, it looks how we started it. I think it looks like us getting to travel South Africa more, starting domestically, and hopefully, as Karabo said, we will have enough people who are interested in that and us getting close to young startup SMEs. So yeah, for me, it looks very domestic at the moment for the next 2 months. If this gets, under wraps or I guess better for us in terms of COVID, it looks very local and it looks like short lived. It looks like Monyana day out style. It looks like us trying to get a new market curating, sip and teas. I don't know, man. It looks like we just need to rethink. Oh, sip and tea, I mean taste and sip. I just think we need to reinvent and rethink of ways that we can strategize all and getting people a little bit more excited about something South Africa first.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying, I mean, I don't really know how to answer the question, but I do see opportunities for collaboration and campaign. Once things have kind of cooled down a little bit, I think, from what I've seen on social media, it's like, what are your plans post lockdown, post COVID? There's some people who are like, yeah, I'm excited to do this. I'm excited for a short left. It feels like people are playing things safe. It feels like there will still be a little bit of fear and anxiety around traveling to certain countries, especially those who have been, badly affected, like, European countries. And I think those will take some time. I think so far the continent, I pray that things don't, get too ugly for us as a continent. And if not, if things, continue progressing as they are, and what I'm saying is we're not looking too bad compared
You recommend people to go to, like, from around here, like local travel, like after this, where are the 5 places that you would love people to go to? And for me, it's like places like Nkandla, rural travel, a lot of cultural travel, and a lot of like nature and outdoor travel. That's kind of like in terms of like things that I'm excited about and opportunities that I see, like in terms of like market. That's something really interesting to me.
Anyone want to start?
So the question is, what places we'd like to go to after the lockdown, after
5 places, 5 local places.
the pandemic, right?
Mm.
Okay, cool. Top of my list, it's been on the list even before the scenario. It was the Drakensberg. And now more than ever, I want to go to the Tugela Falls. I want to be at the top and see South Africa like that, and look over the other side and see Lesotho. Beyond that, I haven't thought much, but that's where I need to go.
I think for us, it's definitely taking people to Kanda, definitely Trevor, getting people to experience rural KZN.
Toby, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay. So top of mind is getting people to travel rural and go to KwaZulu-Natal and Kandla. That's
Yes.
number one. Number two, we want people to explore, Eastern Cape is a big one that I'd love to get people to explore more of Eastern Cape. Number three, Johannesburg. People need to relearn, re-fall in love with Johannesburg, find new things in Joburg. So that's a big one. Joburg around. Number four, amazing top province in terms of domestic tourism. So definitely that. And number five,
And cultural.
And then number five, we don't know. Maybe
Mpumalanga.
Yeah.
Still a gem.
I want to go to Tsitsikamma with Fari.
Yeah.
All I know.
I want to do that hike. That hike that you did, Fari. I want to do that.
Drakensberg one.
Drakensberg.
Yeah, Drakensberg, Pearl.
I want to do that hike. Yeah.
So
Let's go.
Definitely. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Para?
Sorry, I think, let me just close the door. He's run off just now, sorry. Yeah, guys, I'm very keen on the Berg. Would love to join that party at the Berg. But I think for us, I was so stoked about actually going to Golden Gate again and running the yoga experiences out there. And again, I think similar to your guys' experience with the Ikwaqwa, it's really connecting with the tour guides at Golden Gate. In Kandla. Golden Gate is Ikwaqwa. Yes, so Golden Gate, the closest area is Ikwaqwa. And the guides are so knowledgeable about the herbs up in the mountains and the different caves and just that connection between African people and our landscapes and the nature around us. Absolutely love it. So that's the first. Number one, I think could be, number two, right? Because number one was Drakensberg. Number two is Golden Gate. Number three is actually just being at a nature reserve. For us as a family, we just love being out there with the animals and stuff. I feel like I've been feeling today like my son misses giraffes. I know it sounds silly. It's probably me missing giraffes, but get out to the nature reserves. Game driver to, absolute bliss.
Anyone else? Ash?
What was the question? I missed the question.
I think the question was like 5 places that you want to try and people should try like after this. So like it might be a specific place, it might be a type of travel, it might be anything that you think like people should try. Like, because for me, like I did say, Nkandla, your cultural tourism, like exploring cultural cities like Bulawayo in Zim, and a lot of I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's hidden in the ground and like people just want to do one same thing, so it's just interesting just to find out like 5, travel styles. You might call it travel styles, you might call it whatever that you're excited about or can recommend.
Okay. I've really wanted to, I was planning on going to Clarence because I haven't been there before. And I also wanted to go to the Northern Cape and just see what's there because everyone keeps telling me there's nothing. And I'm like, no.
Oh, man.
I want to go and see. I want to just go see and find something there in Northern Cape. So I'm on a mission to go to Northern Cape because I've been saying this for years, but like I actually want to make it happen now, for real. So I'm very excited about that. And then I've also neglected Limpopo, so I need to go there as well. Yeah, that's what's on my plans. Yeah.
I think, Ash, do you want to go send boarding in the Dubai thing?
By the time this lockdown thing is over, it might be too hot for me to go outside. But I was gonna go do a lot of the obviously Dubai is very like built up, so you always see the over the top buildings. You go to the bridge, you see the fountains, you go to the dunes. But there's a lot of like cool stuff in old Dubai that's quite cultural. So I would have liked to see that. I wanted to go diving. I haven't been diving in almost a year now, and I quite missed that. So that's the second thing I wanted to do. I wanted to go skydiving as well. I'm not sure if you guys know the big Palm Island in Dubai.
Yes.
I wanted to go skydiving over that. It's actually down the road from where I stay. I could walk there. I know it's right there, but I can't go because
That's
lockdown.
so cool.
So, yeah, so once all this is over, the plan is to jump, but I don't know. It'll depend on the weather. I think it's closed in summer. And then the fourth thing I wanted to do was to go to Abu Dhabi to see that really cool mosque. Because I haven't been to Abu Dhabi yet. Also, I haven't been here for that long, so yeah. And then the fifth thing I wanted to do is, what is the fifth thing I wanted to do? I had a list. There's a really long list and I can't remember. But, oh yeah, there's this really cool place called Global Village, where they basically have like different artifacts, shows, and foods from different countries around the world. So I really wanted to go and do that. So let's see. If it's still, the weather's still bearable, I'll go. If it's not, then that list is going to change to indoor stuff only. So yeah.